What is going on, everyone? Badger here. Sure to like and sub, and let's get into this. When it comes to OG goated cartoons, specifically DC and Marvel, there are three, well, a little bit more than three, but three basic ones that will always be mentioned. X-Men 97, or rather the original X-Men, and then we got X-Men 97, the sequel, and we'll talk about that. Batman the Animated Series and all of its associated shows, Batman Beyond, Justice League Unlimited, and Spider-Man the Animated Series. Goated because it adapted almost every major Spider-Man arc that we had up until that point, including and up to the Clone Saga, and we got to see crossovers with the X-Men and Peter Parker mutating and growing extra arms. It was great. Unfortunately, it ended on a cliffhanger, but it did introduce most of us. I mean, I never got to read a lot of comics when I was a kid, and I certainly never got to read Spider-Man comics. So the only way I knew those stories was from the animated series. And the reason it was so good was because of the writers. So when we heard that they're going to, I mean, look, as soon as X-Men 97, that sequel series to X-Men the Animated Series came out, everyone said, hey, this is great. Shout out Bo DeMeo. Second season is going to be a train wreck because they changed everything he did. But we saw, hey, this is great. Now do Spider-Man the Animated Series like this. Bring back the original writers. Well, unfortunately, they're kind of listening in the sense that we are getting a sequel finally, but it's going to be in comic form. And you go, okay, I could survive on that. It's going to be in comic form, except it's not going to have the original head writer. It's got a writer, but not the main guy that was running it. So it would be like doing another X-Men 97, not bringing back Bo. It's like, but that was the main guy orchestrating the magic. And so like I was saying, with X-Men 97 getting that reboot treatment, everyone, a large number of people, were in fact speculating or at least hoping that Disney Marvel would do the same for Spider-Man. And then last week, we got Marvel Comics announcing that they would be putting out a Spider-Man 94 limited series in comics form to bring back the nostalgia of the animated series and ideally bring a little bit of conclusion. And they were bringing back the 1990s amazing animated Spider-Man writer J.M. DeMatteis to do the writing work. And that's great because he wrote on the original, but he's not the main head writer. The main head writer who responded on the interwebs. He says, I got a text message this morning from my good friend Matt DeFord telling me that Marvel is continuing my Spider-Man animated series in comic form in a 4-issue limited series called Spider-Man 94. Since I will no doubt be asked about it by fans of the series, no, I am not involved with the comic book, and no one at Marvel approached me to be involved in any way. Matt's text message was the first I'd heard of it. The internet tells me that J.M. DeMatteis is the writer of the comic book, and I have nothing but the greatest respect for him. His amazing body of work over the years in both animation and comic books speaks for itself, and I'm positive this new comic is in great hands. I hired him years ago to participate in writing one this is the classy way to point out that this dude was involved in one episode that ran for 65 episodes. And I thoroughly enjoyed working with him. Where he now chooses to take the series story-wise is entirely his decision. But for the record, they are not my creative choices, nor do they represent any oversight by me, i.e., I got nothing against the guy, but he was involved in 1 out of 65 episodes. I don't know why you would put him in charge of everything. He says, yes, it would have been nice. Some might even say respectful. Well, we know they don't do that. If Marvel had reached out to me at some point as a courtesy, but I have long ago abandoned all expectation that Marvel would acknowledge any of my contributions to the Marvel Universe, like, for instance, my creation of what is now known as the Spider-Verse. Yes, because we saw that way back in the day with the Spider-Verse and Madam Web, and it wasn't called that in the comics. So I wish them all well. My heart goes out to them. And I encourage us all to celebrate with good cheer this 30th anniversary year of Spider-Man the Animated Series. And keep your eyes on all my socials, especially YouTube, because I intend to launch my own celebration of the series in the very near future. In the immortal words of my mentor, Stan the Man, Nuff said. And he does finish off here saying, P.S. if you're still reading this far, since I have your attention, I would be remiss not to mention that my latest animated series Weather Hunters, for which I am one of the executive producers and the one and only head writer, will be debuting on PBS in September. Hey, good for him. Created by Al Roker, oh boy, teaches kids the science of weather and boasts an all-star cast that includes LeVar Burton, Cheryl Lee Ralph, and Holly Robinson Peete. Also in the cast is Rodney Salisbury. so good for him. He was the voice of Joe Robbie Robertson in Superman the Animated, Jesus Christ, Spider-Man the Animated Series. Gather your kids together and check it out. Okay, so this is the actual head writer from the animated series, John Simper Jr. That was his message. And so just know going forward that the writer they chose was involved in 1 out of the 65 episodes and not the actual showrunner. Take that for what you will. And it seems like this is just a long history of Disney Marvel, or the Marvel side at this point, not respecting its creatives. So let me know what you think about this. Do you care now? Did you care before? I don't know. I'm less excited knowing that it's just one writer that did 1 episode as opposed to the overall guy who knew where it was going to go and can tell us what his ending was going to be. So let me know what you think about this. Share, like, share, and sub. If you have done that, thank you. If you're going to do that, thank you. And
well, bye.